I want to do a video on something that I think affects a lot of homeowners when they are calling companies to get their heating and air conditioning fixed. A lot of homeowners don't think about this particular subject, how heating and air companies, a lot of them work on a feast or famine type business. So when the phone's not ringing, they're searching for things to do. And then there are certain times of the year during extreme temperatures where the phone is ringing off the hook. Because of that, a lot of heating and air companies have to consider different things during those times. So if it gets extremely busy all of a sudden, they've got to consider a few things. And we're going to go through those few things in just a moment. One of them at the very end, I think, might surprise you quite a bit. But before we do, let's take a moment to thank our sponsor. Hey guys, Josh here. I wanted to take a quick moment from the video to thank our sponsor for this video. One of the questions I'm asked more than any other is, what brand do we sell at Griffin Air and why do we sell it? When I started Griffin Air, we installed all the major brands and tried them all out before deciding to hang our hat on one particular brand. And that brand, of course, is Daikin. It was important to me to do business with a brand that supports American jobs. My dad actually works in an American Daikin factory. Second, choose a brand that would stand behind their products with the best warranties in the industry. And third, choose the brand that was leading the industry in technology and products. But most importantly, I wanted a brand that when we install their products, the customer becomes a stranger again, and we don't hear back from them in a good way. So thank you to Daikin for being the best for us at Griffin Air, and thank you for sponsoring this video. All right, guys, so let's dive into this. What companies are up against when they're extremely busy and how it affects you as the homeowner because of some of the things they have to do. The first thing is a lot of companies have to prioritize their schedule. So when they're getting, say, 30 calls a day, but they only have, say, a workforce to only be able to take care of 10 of them. Let's say they only have 2 trucks on the road and 10 service calls would be about their max. I think there are service techs out there that could do more, especially if they're willing to work a little late. But I think the average tech, especially with some of the calls that come in, you're only going to look at 5 to 7 service calls to get done in a day, even if they're all pretty quick. There's travel time in there and things like that as well. But I think it just in general, across the board, most companies would say 5 to 7 calls max, unless he's going to be working late. And so because of that, if they've got 30 calls that came in, they've got to prioritize a little bit. I can tell you that me at my company, we do have certain customers we have to prioritize if they call. One of those is we have a customer that their residents are all over the age of 55. Some of them are in health situations where we've got to get to them as quick as we can. And so because of that, we might have to tell some customers, you are going to have to wait. We've got to take care of certain customers that we prioritize for one reason or another. Some companies might prioritize certain customers because they are a longtime customer, or they are on some sort of loyalty program or their maintenance program or whatever. But there are times when companies will prioritize the calls that are coming in, certain customers over other customers. If you've never called the company before, you're not getting proper maintenance done to your system, you're not taking care of the system, and then all of a sudden out of the blue, you're new and you just call on their busiest day of the year, I'm just being honest, you might not be their biggest priority that day. They might have other customers that they've made commitments to that they need to get to and take care of. And so that's the biggest thing I probably want to point out as far as that goes. I will say we get customers that, yeah, they are new, they're not on our maintenance club, they're not taking care of the systems. They'll even make comments like, I haven't had a problem in 5 years, so I figured the system was good. So they're not having any sort of maintenance done to the system. In some cases, some customers will even argue and say they don't think it needs to be maintained, that they think that an air conditioning system is going to run and they don't require any maintenance, that that's just some sort of sales tactic that heating and air companies use. So my point in even saying all that, even if you feel that way, is just realize you may not be that company's biggest priority that day if you're calling on a really busy day. We'll even have folks call and they'll say, hey, I knew I had an issue. You know, my system's been messing up, but it hasn't really been that hot. Now it is. And so I'd like you to be out right away to take care of this. And so because of that, you may want to consider that heating and air companies have to, again, prioritize, but also you may actually save money. Some companies change their pricing based on how busy they are. Before other companies or other guys get on here and say, oh, that's just supply and demand, Josh, you don't understand. I don't really care what the reason is why you do it. I'm just saying that there are companies that do change their pricing. So you as a homeowner, if you're a homeowner that calls that heating and air company, realize you might actually save money if you do call them when it's not so hot. If you do call them before it's extremely busy for them and you say, hey, I've got an issue here. I'm not sure it's going to break down on the hottest day, but I do know something's wrong here. They might be able to get you taken care of and you might save money. And the last thing I'll say on that topic is if you are having your system maintained, if you are a part of their maintenance plan or not, if you're just simply annually calling someone and getting that system tuned up, cleaned up, running as efficiently as possible, it's possible you could inhibit and prevent breakdowns on those extremely hot days. So having your system maintained may actually avoid those breakdowns when the heating and air company is super busy. But again, you may actually save some money there too because you prevented that breakdown. You didn't have to wait on a part. You got in front of it and maybe they caught it when they were doing the maintenance. And so the last thing, I know I said that I would surprise you with something, and I kind of already touched on it actually, and that is some companies do change their pricing based on how busy they are. It's not really something we do at Griffin Air. We're in an area where we honestly stay decently busy all year long anyway. So it's not really something we do, but I do know that there are companies that, if they get super busy, they'll change their pricing. If they're not busy at all, they'll change their pricing based on that to stay busy. But I do think, again, I know there are people that might comment on this and say that I'm wrong or that it's supply and demand and I don't know what I'm talking about. But I will say that I think that there are companies out there that change their pricing and take advantage of folks when they're super busy and it's super hot because they can. I think there are times when a customer, even if you have had your system maintained like you should, you didn't wait to the last minute to get certain things taken care of, and you are loyal to a certain company and whatever, but even after doing all of that, you've got a system that just simply did fail and it broke down on an extremely hot day when all the heating and air companies are super busy, and you call that company. And I think there are companies out there that know that everyone's busy and they know that if they prioritize you and say, we can get to you today, but you're going to pay this amount of money, there are companies that will take advantage of that situation just because they can. And so just realize that. I think that there are going to be situations where, again, I think if you do everything you absolutely can, you still might have a breakdown on the hottest day of the year. But I do think there are things that you can do as the homeowner to try to hopefully inhibit that. So anyway, let me know your thoughts. Comment down below. Have you ever had this situation? Have you had a system breakdown on a really hot day and had a hard time getting a company to you for one reason or another? It's really busy for them and they just simply couldn't get to you right away. Love to hear about that. Comment down below. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.